I've made some money. I've sold some records. I've got some popularity. I've done some cool things, but now what, right? It was a trap that just kind of kept you chasing and chasing and running versus going, get to know who you are, grow into the man that you're going to be, and then make music that comes from that place.
It's the ins and outs, with Mackie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Hernandez, and this is the Ins and Outs with Mackie, a show about awesome gear and awesome people. We'll be bringing you musicians, engineers, podcasters, streamers, and sometimes the occasional Mackoid. If you're new to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite platform to get all the latest Mackie updates as soon as they're out. So our guest today is no stranger to the hip-hop scene. He emerged in his early days with Grammy Award-winning artist Sir Mix-a-Lot. As a solo artist, he released 5 CDs selling over 1 million units. He's a content creator for worldwide brands, charities, and sports organizations. He's a producer, an author, and he's active in the community with his nonprofit organization, Urban Harvest, which he uses to help inspire and empower young minds. Here to talk about it all is Xola, aka Kid Sensation. How you doing, Xola?
I am feeling great. I'm glad to be here. Oh my gosh, Mackie, you guys are my people. You guys are my family. You adopted me into the family. You were part of that process of the adoption. So man, I'm feeling like family to y'all.
Well, we are glad to have you here. Let's go ahead and get started. Let's start at the beginning. You and Mackie have something in common right off the bat. You're both from Washington.
Absolutely.
What's your first musical memory that inspired you to become a musician in this wonderful place?
Wow, yeah. So I mean, obviously Seattle, I mean, we're just a hotbed, I think, in my humble opinion, for all types of music, you know what I mean? Back even when Hendrix was doing it, man. Right. Seattle has just been a birthplace of great music, and I think an underrated place for the hip hop that really comes from here. It's really dope and really amazing. But, my first kind of like exposure to music would be my mother, man, playing all the great music to me, R&B, and she played a lot of Motown music. I grew up on all this like really cool different type of music, and but there was no music that really kind of like spoke to me. I mean, I didn't know anything about being in love or all those kind of cool things when I was a little kid, man. I mean, I just but then when hip hop and rhyming started coming out, it felt like something that was a little bit more relatable to me. And kind of growing up in the inner city, kind of poor, and with a single mom, I could really relate to the struggle and the story of hip hop. And so I was immediately hooked all the way from the very beginning.
You did a lot of other stuff aside from music too, though. I learned you also recorded some jingles. You did some voiceover work for some professional teams. When did that start taking place?
Oh man. So, I mean, like, as, the hip hop, began to kind of pick up for me, and as my, music began to sell, and it's so funny, like, yeah, doing the stuff with sports teams, for example. It's like, obviously music and sports, just kind of go hand in hand. But something that a lot of people don't really realize, is that athletes and musicians kind of go hand in hand as well. We all want to be athletes, right? And all the athletes want to be, kind of musicians, if you will, maybe in private, but we all just kind of have that desire to be in each other's space. And so, doing music for sports teams was a natural to me, because it's like, I'm a homer. I'm an admitted homer, like everything Seattle, man. I'm Sounders, I'm Seahawks, I'm nice. Sonics. Go save our Sonics, bring our Sonics back. Let me just plug that in there. Mariners. I mean, I'm just, I'm cracking. I am all about Seattle sports and about Seattle sports teams. And so, for me, doing the music for them, and it just was like something easy to do. If I would do it, even sometimes if they weren't even going to be using it or whatever, just because it's like my way of showing my pride in my teams and my pride in my city. And so we began to just kind of throw those kind of stuff, to the Mariners and to the Seahawks and things like that. And I ended up doing the music for Sean Alexander's television show. I ended up doing music for the Seahawks to come out of the tunnel too. I ended up doing stuff for the Mariners and stuff, So it just kind of rolled into different things. Then of course, the song with Ken Griffey Jr. was also, part of that as well. And so that stemmed from our friendship. And like I said, all athletes want to be entertainers, and all entertainers want to be athletes.
That's so awesome. So how important do you think it is to dip into other creative avenues like these ones? Do you think you learned anything from these experiences that you carry with you through music?
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, first of all, even the fundamental part of, a lot of people don't know this, and I just say this to kind of to answer your question, that Ken Griffey Jr. and I were like really great friends. And so us being close, I really got to see a lot of things and glean off of like his work ethic and his commitment to excellence and all these kind of things. If you take that same secret sauce, right, and you apply it to music or anything else, man, it catapults your potential, man. It just shoots you to another level. And I mean, and you watch, like I said, the focus and the dedication. And you know, I don't know, I gleaned a lot from just the experience of even being around, high level athletes and those kind of things. Sean Alexander, who was the NFL MVP, he and I were great friends as well. And so I gleaned a lot from him, in terms of just what he put into his craft. And then, like I said, you end up growing from every experience that you're in and that you're a part of. And then, and then of course, yeah, doing the music for different, sports teams and all that, it kind of stretches you as an artist, right? I mean, it's like it's cool. Like we can be in our studios, we can be creative, we can write, we can make songs, do all these dope things. But then when you have to kind of stretch yourself to kind of put the spotlight on someone else, or to do something that kind of throws somebody else, up a little bit. It's like, and show love to your sports teams and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I'm a homer, so it came natural for me to brag on my sports teams, but it kind of stretches you as a musician.
Definitely. And your career seems to have really taken off quickly and at such a young age. Not to mention you had a lot of great people surrounding you. You had Sir Mix-a-Lot as a mentor. What are some moments that you're most proud of, Xola?
Oh man. Well, let me take one thing that I'm super super proud of that was from my time with Sir Mix-a-Lot. One thing I will say about that dude, man, is that he was a dope individual, man, to kind of like run behind and kind of, cut my musical, chops to. Because like one thing that just stood out, that when you said that, like, what am I most proud of? I'm most proud of this, man. No judgment on anybody else, but the drugs, the alcohol, and all that stuff never got caught up into that, because Sir Mix-a-Lot was not about that, man. He's never smoked, he's never drank, he's never done any of those type of things, never did any drugs. And so that rubbed off on me so hard, because me kind of looking up to him as kind of a big brother figure and all that. If he would have been, all heavy into a bunch of crazy stuff, I would have been hook, line, and sinker right behind him, I would imagine, because I looked up to him so much and I admired him so much. And so it was really dope that dude was just like clean. Like, so no matter how much of that stuff we saw, no matter how much of that stuff we were around, we just didn't get involved in that, man. So that's one of the cool things I would say, from being around Sir Mix-a-Lot. But then also just same with him, like the pro athletes and things that I talk about, man. Like, you don't win a Grammy by accident, right? I mean, that's years and years and years of work. Most people say, oh, Mix-a-Lot, he's like this one hit wonder dude. Like, they don't know about Posse on Broadway and Beepers and, My Hoopty and all these different songs that he put out. And then even before he really made it big, Square Dance Rap and all these kind of Buttermilk Biscuits and all these kind of songs that he was putting out, he was laying the groundwork for that Grammy 10 years before he actually, stood up on stage, before we walked up there and accepted it. He was laying the groundwork for that years and years and years before that. But I watched how a dude with some talent worked really, really, really hard and just focused on his craft. He was not the guy that was going out to clubs and hanging out and running the streets and all that stuff. That dude was in the lab, creating and doing all those things. And so I learned from him the same kind of work ethic that I learned from a lot of the athletes and guys that I knew. It was all about taking that craft and building it and just maximizing it, man, squeezing that lemon for every bit of juice you could get out of it, man, because we got one go round at this thing.
One thing I want to tell you that I really respect about you is how you really deeply consider the impact your language and your material, what it does in your albums. Why is it important for you to remain authentic in your journey and channel that in others? I mean, you go as far as not using terrible language, and let's talk about that a little bit.
For sure. I mean, when I was younger, you're kind of a product of your environment, right? You're a product of what you're around. And then most of us, if we're, right in the head, we operate the best we can from the level that we're on, right? I mean, most of us, people that got a good heart and whatever, you try to do the best you can from where you're at. I'll put it to you even like this. In the neighborhood that I grew up in, I could count on one hand the number of families that had a father in the family on one hand. And I probably wouldn't even need to use all my fingers, because literally I grew up in a neighborhood where single moms, or, you live with your auntie or your grandmama or somebody else, or, your mom and the boyfriend or whatever, but fathers were like kind of like this absent thing, so I didn't have like that influence in my life to say, hey man, here's how you treat women. Hey man, here's how you handle money. Hey, here's how you handle yourself as a man. Here's how you stay humble and be, a good dude. And here's how you grow up to be, this way or that way. My father bounced out on my mom. He divorced her, and he came back from serving in the army, kind of all messed up. And so he said he didn't want to be a father and a husband anymore. And he just bounced out on my mom. I was 3 and my brother was 4, and so my mom had to figure that thing out. And so my mom worked 2 jobs a lot of the time that, we were young. And so we were kind of those latchkey kids that just kind of grew up, how we grew up. We just kind of figured it out, right? I mean, we had to. It was just, survival. And so as we grew up, yeah, man, I mean, we were out there in the streets, and we saw all kind of, drug dealers and gangbangers and all this kind of stuff around when we grew up. So the language that I used and all those kind of things was a product of I was a product of my environment, and therefore the music that I made was a product of me. And as I got older, and as I started to sort of sort things out and figure things out, I became a father, right? And I got God into my life, and I just got faith, and all these cool things began to just kind of, culminate into the man I started to become. And I started figuring things out like, hey man, wait a minute. I've made some money. I've sold some records. I've got some popularity. I've done some cool things, but now what, right? I mean, what's next? Because that, okay, you got the next car, or you got the next this or the next that, and the next CD out that's done this or that. But now what kind of next? And it just seems like to me, it was a trap that just kind of kept you chasing and running versus settling into yourself and going, man, when did I get away from being authentic to myself and saying, something, get to know who you are, grow into the man that you're going to be, and then make music that comes from that place. Don't make music that says like, yo, I'm trying to hit the charts and go platinum, and I'm trying to do this and that and the other. Make music that comes from this really authentic space. And that's what began to kind of turn me into the person who said, something, I don't, do I curse that way at my kids? Do I curse that way at my family? Do I curse that way at my wife? Am I going to act? Is that how, do I curse that way in front of my grandmother? Right. Okay. Well, then why do I want to be 2 different people? One different dude here in the music, and then a different guy who's, in front of you and talking to Jamie right now. So I don't use that language when I'm hanging out with you on a podcast. So why do I need to use it in my music? Just be real and be authentic, and think about the content that we're putting out there and the people that are listening. So long answer for what you kind of asked, but I just wanted to kind of share the story.
It's great. You provide a voice for many through your music, and that's important. In your song Incredible, which champions women, you say you were born to love, born to lead, born to shine, and born to succeed. Why do you think it's important to share these issues through your music and champion love to other people?
For me, yeah, that song Incredible, I made that song free on my website that anyone can download that. My point being, for that song, it's like, that's the kind of legacy that I want to leave in my life. I'm kind of at that point in my life, where it's less about what hip hop can do for me, and it's more about what I hope that I can give to the music, and what I can do for the music, so to speak. I figured like, hey, I mean, people, like I said, no judgment on anybody else. I do what I do. They do what they do. But a song like Incredible, like it's been since, like, I don't know, like Tupac Lift Your Head Up, when he said that, made a song about women, trying to honor them, and to say, why do we hate our women? Why do we, do all these things? So it's like, man, maybe I can just be on that other end of the spectrum and just say, okay, okay, that's cool. You're making your music, but I'm going to say what I think about women, and what I think about my wife and my daughter and my mother. And so that's how I'm going to do it. Because most of them, if you really sit down and ask most of these rappers that, put the girls on the poles and the videos and all that, you say, hey, would you do that to your niece? Would you put your niece on a pole and throw money at her and have you and your crew doing all that? Absolutely not.
That's right.
Well, guess what, dude? That girl that you have on there is someone's niece, that's someone's daughter, someone's granddaughter, and all that, man. Is that what we're doing? I mean, listen, no judgment, but this is what I do.
You and Mariners icon Ken Griffey Jr. have been up to a lot lately. But you guys go way back, as you were mentioning earlier. You even did a track together that was released as a single off of your 1992 album, Power of Rhyme. How did this relationship begin, and what are you two up to now?
All right, so that's so funny because I'm in the midst. We're creating a podcast, around him. That's I think it's going to spill over into a documentary and everything about Griff, and it's really dope. I'm telling the kind of like a lot of these stories, and so Griff and I met at a car stereo shop. We both we're both music fans, and we both love putting really expensive stereos into cars. And so to a fault, I would say. So I was up at this car stereo shop that we met at, and he had so there's a really nice Porsche in there. So I'm pulling in to come check on my car, because like when you're getting these car stereos installed, it's a process, man. I mean, like your car goes there, it's there for like a month, and they're customizing my trunk, and they put like all these leather panels in there, and it said like Kid Sensation on it.
Cool.
And you push a button with the alarm, and the panel would go down, the amplifiers would come out, and all. It was just,
wow.
I mean, it just was some craziness, man, that we would just spend all of our money on. But anyway, so we so I was pulling in to come check on my car, and I saw this really nice Porsche sitting there, and I thought maybe it was the owner's car. I said, man, that's a nice Porsche. Who's that? He said, yeah, man, that's who that is? He's like, man, that's Ken Griffey Jr.'s car. And I'm like, okay, right on. And I'm thinking, is Ken Griffey Jr. an a stockbroker? Who is he? Because I didn't even know, because I didn't grow up a baseball fan. All right, I'm just going to admit it. I had no idea about baseball or baseball players. But I had heard, like on SportsCenter and all this, that the Mariners had picked up this new young kid who was, just like out of the park, crushing it and all this kind of stuff. But the name didn't register and it didn't click. And so they were like, the owner was like, yeah, man, that's Griff's car, man. That's Ken Griffey's car. And, they got to talking or whatever. And then he said, hey, man, you want to meet him? And I'm thinking to myself, cool, let's go meet the stockbroker. Let's go, man. I could use some stock tips. Let's go, And so he takes me up and I see Ken, and Ken's in a sweatsuit, and he just looks like he's my age. I'm like, this ain't no stockbroker. Who is this dude? And so we get to talking and everything. And then somebody said something about baseball. And then he's like, oh yeah. And then I got to go to batting practice. So you guys, I got to get out of here pretty soon with it. And then I went, oh, that's who this is. And, so then all the light bulb turns on, and then but I played it really cool. Like I knew the whole time. I'm like, yo, man, yeah, that's what's up, man. Let's trade numbers, man. Let's catch up and let's hang out. And that's where our friendship was birthed. And then from there, man, we were pretty much inseparable for his whole time in Seattle.
So you all are working on some new stuff. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we're working on this new podcast called American Prodigy, where Ken is, they're going to kind of talk about Ken's whole journey and legacy. And what's kind of cool is that I'm going to narrate this thing. And, we'll see how it all kind of shapes up and pulls together. But it's going to be fun. I think it's just going to explore Griff's life and his legacy and just his contributions to baseball that, spanned over, his whole career, and just what he did for just exposing the game to just a whole new, thing of fans. I mean, it's like, yeah, a lot of people, especially African Americans that grew up in the inner city, we didn't flow with baseball. And this reason being, it just wasn't an opportunity to play it. There, it's harder to get together a bunch of people and, have a baseball game than it is to go play some pickup hoops or play a little football, or whatever the case is. And we just didn't have access to, the training, the equipment, the places to play it, all those kind of things. But, baseball is a beautiful sport, man. And Ken really just made baseball cool in the inner city, man. Everybody was getting, oh, look at that there. Everybody was getting the S caps, right? And, everybody was following him and flipping the cap backwards. And he just added a cool factor to the game that, that captured the imagination of a whole lot of fans. So it's just an honor, man, to honor him with these new projects that we're doing.
And so you also had some work with another baseball player. You wrote and produced a song for Ichiro Suzuki, which was available at the Mariners team store.
So yeah, so Ichiro, man, that was really crazy. So there was a, obviously, and when Ichiro first came to Seattle, if you remember those days, man, I mean, it was just a huge, big deal. He was like the biggest player in Japan ever, and in Japan, baseball is huge, huge, huge. And so he was like Michael Jordan in Japan. So for Ichiro to come over here and then to start playing for the Mariners, there was just a throng of Japanese media following, and then it just created this whole huge thing here. And so we created a song for Ichiro. Ichiro loved it, and he was like, "Yo, man, let's sign a deal." And we did something. So his brother even did like the artwork for it, and we even released it on Virgin Records in Japan,
Oh
which
wow.
was pretty cool. So
That's
yeah, so the
cool.
single released over there, and I used to get people who would tell me about doing doing karaoke to the song over there and
Oh
all that. I mean,
gosh.
just really cool stuff, man. I mean, so yeah, it's always a blast, man, working with athletes and doing their stuff, because you just sometimes never know where that stuff is going to go and where it's going to take you. But yeah, the Ichiro thing was fun.
That's so awesome. So going back to music and advocacy, this seems to run in your family. What are some things that you've all been up to that you're really proud of? I know you have your nonprofit organization, Urban Harvest. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Urban Harvest, we're a young nonprofit, and really, I was supposed to launch last year, right around, I don't know, March or so, but 2020 got a little interesting for us with due to this little virus thing that was floating around. So we couldn't, obviously not being able to do anything in person. We were supposed to be doing all these really cool summer things to really pick the nonprofit up. But the bottom line is the whole mission behind Urban Harvest is that there's a huge harvest, right, in our urban communities that sometimes gets, the marginalized people get kind of pushed aside or forgotten about. And sometimes we don't understand the value that we're losing with these, we're losing a lot of genius, a lot of value, of valuable people, because we sometimes just tend to say, oh, those are those kids, they're just not up to nothing, no good. And so Urban Harvest is about saying, hey, let's go and let's find these young people, these at-risk people, and let's give them some opportunities and pair them up with real opportunities, right? Like, don't
Wow.
just show up with, Russell Wilson and go, hey, Russ, talk to the kids about their futures. Yeah, you know what? Keep throwing the football, kids. You'll end up like me one day. It's like, no, let's go deeper, right? And let's take these kids and, let's pair them up with mentors and role models that are in their areas of interest, right? And then let's give them real opportunities and let that mentor and that kid just take it and run, right? Like my wife, okay, for example, my wife works at Raymond Hall, which is the juvenile facility down here. And she's like a juvenile detention officer, right? She's like right in the middle of it. Like, don't let her little 5'5", 125 fool you, man. My wife is tough as they come.
Serious.
She does CrossFit. She does CrossFit and all that, man. She beats on me all the time. It's terrible. You guys help. So my wife had this kid in there with her in the pod that she was in, who was an artist, right? And he had just gotten into some trouble. I think I don't know, maybe stolen a car or something. And so this kid could do these artistic drawings, right? And I mean, lifelike. He could take a pencil and just draw you in whatever the case is and make it look like it was literally a photograph. It was so lifelike. It was like eerie. I was like, wow, this kid is talented. Now, I also happen to be friends with this guy named Keegan Hall. I don't know if you are familiar with the name, but Keegan Hall is very well known around here for doing the same kind of thing, pencil drawings of all of the celebrities. Like, he's done Russell Wilson, he's done Ken, he's done, Kurt Cobain, he's done, and then Living Dead, he does everybody, he does all these cool things. And then what he does is he partners with the athlete, like he and Russell partner together, created this drawing, and then they sell them for charity, and then all the money goes to the athlete's charity, and that's how Keegan gets taken care of. And
Wow.
it's just, man, it's just
That's so
phenomenal what he
cool.
does. But what he does also too is he takes the drawings when he's doing them, and he puts a camera over his shoulder, and then it takes him usually several days to put these drawings together. But he does a high speed drawing that happens within what is it, time lapse photography.
Yeah.
So then he does it. It shows within a minute or so of him doing the entire thing from the blank paper to the finished product that looks like pretty much like a photo. So he takes athletes in their biggest moments and then does this lifelike drawing. So I was like, now, what if you took this kid who got into trouble and you pair him with Keegan Hall, right? And then you say, hey, and then Keegan Hall doesn't go, hey, man, yep, just keep drawing. And one day you'll be like me. No, Keegan says, no, come here. Let me take you under my shoulder, under my wing. And let me take you over here let's go to the Seahawks complex and let's go hang out with some of the players one of these days. Oh, you know what? I'm here because I need to do a drawing of Tyler Lockett. So here, kid, I'm going to have you do this drawing of Tyler Lockett. Let's cut your teeth into something like this. Wow. And then this kid is doing something really big like this, right? Where it's like, now we're going to auction this off for charity. Your name's going to be attached to it. You're going to sign some. Tyler's going to sign some. This is a project you guys are going to do together. And we're going to just, we're going to put it out there. And that was our plan last year, was to put this all together and to do this. But of course, COVID made a lot of those things difficult. But my point being is that Urban Harvest is about taking young people, and whether they want to be, in computer IT, or whether they want to be athletes, or whether they want to be, stockbrokers, no matter what they want to do, we want to get urban young people connected with mentors that can help them in those areas, and then let them run with it, and then see where that talent takes them.
How can people help or be a part of your community, Xola?
So Urban Harvest isn't set up as a website yet. Oh gosh, I'm so sad. So I hate to come and be unprepared for that. But what I will say is, on my website, if you're interested in reaching out, please just or helping or being a part, please just go to the contact section, contact us, and the email is there, and just let us know that you want to be a part. If you're just someone who wants to give your time, that's the most important resource that we need. Absolutely. Is people who are willing to be in that position and to partner them together and to get these young people who are needing them. If you'll just give some of your time, man, that's where the rubber meets the road. So it would be dope for you to connect with me either on social media. You can connect with me personally, or just go to my site and just drop a line and say that you want to be involved. We will find a way to get you involved. And it is an actual 501c3. So anything that anyone did give would be tax deductible and all that. I know everybody loves to hear that, but I do want to also say that we need people who will give their time and their love, man. That's what's up.
Well, thank you for all the work you're putting into that. Make sure you all go and scope out what he's working on. And so let's talk about your music. Presently Past the Future is now streaming. What can people expect in this fresh new offering?
Yeah, that's the new CD, Presently Past the Future. So, all right. So, okay. You know how there's a lot of people who are saying, man, they really kind of miss what hip hop used to kind of be. They're Always. Like, man, I mean, no disrespect to the young cats that's doing what they do, but it's like this album was sort of a tip of the cap to the hip hop back in the day, man, that used to like just really that you had to craft and put together and write your verses and write your stuff and give people some bars that they can sink their teeth into. Storytelling, right? I mean, like that's a huge thing that was a big part of hip hop. It was about the stories that were told and really just creating it out of those basic elements of hip hop, beats and rhymes and scratching and storytelling and hooks and verses and just really building great hip hop. So Presently Past the Future is kind of like that. It's kind of like a little journey where like, okay, you don't have to necessarily rely on all of our old music. I mean, I love, reminiscing and playing our old stuff, but man, everybody's looking forward to something maybe new that scratches that itch that says, man, I want to hear those rhymes and those beats and those bars. That is what you're going to get from Presently Past the Future. It's like, a lot of the songs dip into those 90s vibes and those 2000 vibes where the music is that way. It's not kind of quote unquote the trap stuff and whatever. It's just like those beats, man, that we used to party to, that we used to love, that just made you feel good, And so, I wanted to make sure that this album service those people. I wanted to service that demographic of people, that growing demographic of people that just really appreciate what hip hop used to be. And so songs like Stank Face and West Side and those songs, those are all just like tributes to that era of hip hop that we just love and miss so much. So,
well, congratulations on that. So the recording experience has changed a lot. Can you share with us a little bit of your history recording in pro studios versus what you're doing now in your very Mackie filled studio?
Yes, indeed. So, well, first of all, shouts out to Mackie. I mean, man, you guys like hooked me up so smooth, so well with, and my studio now is obviously so much more simple, so much more it's just tight, and everything is on the level, you guys, from the microphones to the headphones to the mixers to the preamps to the monitors. I don't understand how one company can do everything so doggone well. I'm like, man, it's just, straight up brag on you guys. You're going to sound like me if you get you some Mackie stuff. That's
we just want you to
story.
sound good. We just want everyone to sound good. You
Yeah,
deserve to have your art heard, and that's all that matters, right? That's why we do this stuff.
You guys do a phenomenal job. So that leads to answering your question. And that is that now in this day and age, becoming a musician and expressing your creative art, the point of entry has been made accessible to the average person. The average person can put together a studio and begin to record if they want to express that creativity. And that's such a huge blessing, because when I started recording back in the dinosaur days, man, back when the dinosaurs walked the earth, man. So, we had to go into a recording studio and pay $75, $100, $110, $120, whatever per hour. And you had to come in there kind of like ready. And so, and if you made mistakes, it was much more, you didn't have an undo button. You didn't have, an undelete, those kind of things. So if you made mistakes, you had to go back and retake and whatever, and edits and all those kind of things were so much more complex. If you wanted to cut something and make a shorter version of a song, you literally took an X-Acto knife and you cut physical tape. You didn't get to say, oh, cut and paste and move it over and put them together. Does it sound right? No. Okay, let me get a little more. Wow. If you cut too much tape, guess what? You had to go and bounce back down from a master tape to start all over again. So you literally cut tape and literally taped tape together in order to create edits and things like that. I mean, these young cats.
So we are very spoiled.
But yeah, in this day and age, we're so spoiled. But what's beautiful is that it makes the point of entry, it makes it accessible to everyone that wants to express their musical gift. And I love the fact that now we're all on a digital playing field, right? So if you've got a computer and you've got a decent mixing board and a decent preamp, and you've got your mics all hooked up and whatever, and you got your headphones, your Mackie, MC100s, if you got your setup done, you can create high level recordings without having to, spend hundreds of dollars per hour to go into a studio, and only to think, oh gosh, now I want to go and correct it. Now I got to spend even more. Oh gosh, I got to get it mastered. So it's got to be sent off to somewhere to master. And I've got to do it. The tools are accessible. And I love that, because it allows, sure, it makes the record industry more crowded. It makes a lot of people, there's a lot of recording artists out there. And because like all of a sudden you can, boom, everybody can get their stuff on YouTube and iTunes and all these kind of things. But it sure does make the process better for those who are talented, who really want to just kind of get their gift out there. And I think it's dope, because we don't have, how it's like, gosh, so many people that can sing, so many people that can rap, so many people that can, do spoken word and all these dope things. Well, now they have an avenue to express that creativity, versus back in the day, there was a lot of talented people that were way more talented than me, that just maybe never got the opportunity. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest.
So are there any future projects we can look forward to, Xola?
Absolutely. Yeah. First of all, hanging out with you guys and doing creative and amazing things. We did NAMM. That was fun. And it's been very fun. We've been talking about doing all kinds of, partnerships and fun things. So you guys are a big deal. The Griffey American Prodigy, podcast is going to be a fun project that I'm working on. I'm working with a nonprofit called Chip In, who is doing some really cool, amazing things. They've got a giving platform now where they're not coming in and snatching the money. That's like, you can actually give, and it all goes to the cause to whom that you're trying to give. And then they do this really cool thing. Here's how they do their thing: is that when they all these sponsored brands and stuff will pop up with coupons for their different things, and that's how they get theirs, rather than taking it from the people. Because when we give, right, we want to make sure that it's going to help the people that we're helping. So I love what Chip In does. They say we'll make our money in a different way and allow that money flow to happen between giver and givee, so that it's so that people can just feel confident and secure about the way they give to charities. and World Vision, a lot of people don't realize this. They think, oh man, World Vision, they help all the kids overseas, and World Vision does a lot domestically. They're feeding millions and millions of kids who are in, you know, food deprived and, you know, food, you know, situations right now. Because as we know, man, a lot of people are going through it with this pandemic, and World Vision is on the front lines getting it done. So anyway, yeah, so just more and more projects and cool things. I landed another song on a movie soundtrack, which is really cool. My song's going to be in a kung fu movie. Wow!
Oh, cool! Congratulations!
I can't wait to see it. I guess my song is like literally in a fight scene, which is really cool. That's awesome. And it's my first single. This is crazy. My first single, Back to Boom, that came off my first album. They didn't want to license any of my new music. They were like, we want this. And I'm like, wow, are you serious?
That's a really good song. That's a good song.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, so I guess the movie has got this kind of 90s vibe, and they wanted like a fast kind of hype song to for this fight scene. And so that's pretty cool. So I can't tell the title yet, but that movie will be coming out. I'll make sure and share it with Mackie and everybody else, the rest of the world. But so yeah, just keeping my hands in all sorts of different things. I think you guys already know about this too, that the movie Safety Not Guaranteed that I'm in. So that's now streaming on Netflix. I might as well plug that as well.
Yes,
you know, so you
plug
guys,
yourself, man. Congratulations.
If you need a fun, thank you.
Actor.
If you need a fun little date flick to check out, go check out Safety Not Guaranteed. And it's a fun little quirky comedy that was shot right here in Seattle, and Kristen Bell is in it, and Aubrey Plaza, a couple of my favorite like people in the world, and Jake Johnson. So really dope movie. So go check that out on streaming on Netflix. So,
and you're an author. You have a book out as well.
Yes, I have a book out. It's called The Vapor, so you can check that out on Amazon. It's a book on faith and a lot of my journey. I tell some funny stories about Ken Griffey Jr. in there, so go check that out. I've got a new book coming out too that, you know, again, after the pandemic lifts and all that, that's going to kind of run hand in hand with my foundation, Urban Harvest. The book is called Kings, and it's young men discovering their purpose and shaping their destiny. And it's about saying, hey, you know what? If these young men realize that they were really young kings, whether they're black, white, polka dot, it doesn't matter. Just know who you are and say, you know, let's teach these young people who they are so that they walk around and they can hold their heads high and say, I'm proud of who I am, and I know that I've got value. So that's kind of what that book is about, is just kind of helping those young people find themselves earlier in life and not going at the age of 35 and 40, you know, after they've, you know, messed off a lot of years going, gosh, I wish somebody would have told me this and that and the other about being a man. I'm like, yo, here you go. Here's a little handbook to help that out, man. And hopefully you guys can take some of this and throw it in your life and maybe not run into some of those roadblocks that a lot of us did as men going through it.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing all that with us. I think this is a good time for our ins and out takes, which is a rapid fire of random questions. Are you game with that?
I'm down.
Takes.
All right, Xola. So let's start it off with who have been some of your favorite people you've worked with so far?
I would say for sure, Sir Mix-a-Lot has obviously been one of my favorites, man. That's an obvious one. Sean Alexander was very, very funny and fun to work with when I worked with him. And then I have to mention Ken Griffey Jr.
Of course.
Because that's my guy. You know, he was totally fun to work with. On tour, I would say that Dr. Dre was one of the coolest people as well.
Oh, wow.
He gave me really, really great advice on a number of different things. And he was just a really, really smart dude. He really was.
That's awesome. So what's something people don't know about you?
Something people don't know about me.
How about not pertaining to music?
Okay.
Or like
not pertaining to music.
Secret talent, secret hidden talent, something like that.
Okay. Oh, that's a good one. Thank you. That helps me because I know exactly what to take. I can walk on my hands.
Okay.
When I say walk on my hands, I don't mean like, I can do a quick little handstand or whatever. I held the elementary school record at Brighton Elementary, man, because I walked all the way around our gym. They measured it at like 454 feet or something. It was a lot. It was a long ways. But I still can now. I can still walk on my hands, you know, at least probably, 30, 40, 50 feet and whatever. I do it I do it all the time, and so I do it to impress my kids, friends, and stuff like that. I
That's
go,
cool.
I can walk on my hands. They're like, no, you can't. Watch this. Hold my beer. I don't drink. That's right. So hold my cider.
So, when do you feel most motivated and inspired?
Late at night.
Oh my
I love it.
gosh.
It's just quiet. My whole family is zonked out, and it is just my time. I love to just get in the studio, and that's when I create the most. And like literally, when my wife texts me and is like, "Are you coming to bed at some point in time?" Because she wakes up for some reason, and but I'm still in here 4 or 5 in the morning, or whatever. I love nights in the studio.
Nice. So, what's better, Cola, being a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond?
I
Everyone's
like
asking.
being, yeah, I like the idea of being a small fish in a big pond.
Wow. Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because I feel like I'm not about just kind of like having all the kind of eyeballs or attention on me. I think there's so many gifted, cool people, and I love sharing a big ocean with a whole bunch of big, cool, talented people. I love discovering music, right? Like stumbling on this rap group called Blue in Exile now that I listen to all the time. I had never heard of them, right? But like I listen to their music now because I'm a big fan, because I got exposed to their music because of YouTube, right? And just being able to hear different people. They're not on a record label, they're not on anything, but guess what? It's that that little fish in a big pond mentality that we kind of live in now. That like everybody can kind of jump in and swim, and it gives us all the opportunity to discover new music and new things, and us all the opportunity to kind of create. And it doesn't mean that I can't make a living just because I'm a little fish, man. The pond is real big out there. So
I love
like,
that answer.
Jamie, man, I find ways to shoot. We all got to find different ways to earn and to do, and opportunities, and we make opportunity where we can, right? So yeah.
I love that. So, what
Thank
lifts
you.
your spirit when life gets you down?
What lifts my spirits when my life gets me down? Gosh, I'll tell you, it's good people. It's like hanging out with you, right? Like, I think I shared with you guys, and just getting very personal and candid, that I lost a very close friend of mine who was a groomsman, and who was in my wedding, and who helped me through a lot of really difficult points in my life. He passed from cancer very recently. But being around you guys, we even just got to just kind of hang out, and it lifts my spirits. My kids lift my spirits hanging around them. They're just free spirited, and life hasn't torn them and took them down. They just lift your spirits being around them. My wife, and just my friends and family. People, man, I'm a people person, and I need people, and I need you guys. And I'm just thankful for you, Jamie. I mean, just being, like I said, being able to hang out with at times when maybe life is tough. I got on this podcast, and I haven't thought about the many different stressors in my life. It's been like fun. I've been hanging out with La Reina.
It's been so much fun. We're so excited to know you and continue to work with you. So, if you could tell your younger self something, Cola, what would it be?
Wow. That's so funny that you mentioned that, because um, in that book, Kings, in the last chapter, I go and I ask a whole bunch of athletes, entertainers, and high profile people. Then I ask also a bunch of regular folks. I ask them this question. I say, if you could give your younger self some advice, what would it be and why? And I got some really cool answers. But and then I gave my answer, and I will absolutely share that with you. And that answer is to absolutely allow yourself mistakes. Like, man, this journey is tough, and life did not come with a handbook. So we're gonna make mistakes, but make your own fresh set of mistakes, right? I always tell my kids, I don't repeat my dumb mistakes. I'll just tell you about what they are, and then go
Can
make a
avoid them.
new fresh set, right? Here you go. Just go and make yourself a new fresh set, man. But like, allow yourself room to grow and make a lot of really, calculated and dumb mistakes. Just live your life without being in fear of, oh man, if I take that risk, I might make a mistake, or if I try that, it might. Man, make your mistakes. Go at life hard. Go at it, and give it everything that you got. And if you come up short, at least learn from your mistakes. Like, I'm not telling you go and repeat the same mistake over and over, but what I am saying is make a fresh set of mistakes, and give yourself the latitude to make them without a whole lot of harshness and criticism on yourself, man. Just love yourself through it because you're the only one you get.
Amen to that. So if you weren't a musician, what is another career you would have liked to explore?
Okay, so I went to college. I started at UW. Go Huskies. So
Washington's loving you, man.
My wife's a Cougar, so she'll love this part. Hi, honey. So so I went to college for engineering. That was something I was certainly considering. I like, as rare as it is, I kind of like math. I like science. I like those kind of things, and I did well at those things. I know, right? I was taking calculus in high school. I mean,
that's why you make good beats and stuff, though. It makes a lot of sense, right? It makes sense.
Maybe so. But yeah, so that would have been a possibility. But another thing that piqued my interest as I was a young adult was like real estate. I think I might have been in something doing that as well. I did a lot of fixing and flipping and buying of houses and all that kind of stuff. And that was fun to me. It was really kind of artistic too, right? Like, taking like this dump, right? And then, trying to fix it into something that somebody would actually live in. So that was cool.
So last question, who would play you in the movie of your life?
Who would play me in the movie about my life? Man, it'd have to be somebody handsome. Let me think. Yeah, like Michael B. Jordan or somebody, right. Man. Yeah, we got to get somebody good looking. All right, Michael B. Jordan.
All right, I love it.
Check it, Mackoids. When we're young, we make a lot of mistakes, different choices, and as we grow, we become a new man. That's the title of the song. Check it.
I used to be young and kind of foolishness. I wasn't to it, so I tried to keep hanging with dudes that I went to school with, and they was doing nothing, so I was doing nothing, productive and doing nothing. It was time to change something, cause all of my potential giving light to instrumentals was slipping between my fingers like sands in an hourglass. My road windy and rough, I made silly mistakes and left a lot of heartache and heartbreak in my wake. And even in the middle of it, facing my toughest choice, I hear the words and the sound of my mother's voice. She sees greatness in me, underachieving. She knows the power of faith that she's believing. One day I'd wake up and realize I'm wasting a lifetime on all these good times that I'm chasing. I'm seeking something different. This ain't my life plan. I'm stepping to you and stepping out. I keep on building, keep on moving. With each new day, I keep proving the past and future are not equal. The story was stormy, but there's a sequel. And if you don't recognize the man you see before your eyes, it's cause I'm a new man inside. And the old man's gone. I was a kid chasing the fame, young chasing the game, chasing these little frames, but then something changed. Did a full 180 from the days when I used to be shady. Figured out the importance of sticking to one lady. I don't dip in the club, running, gripping the club, I'm skipping the club. Girls stripping the club, dudes tripping the club. Shots pop, blood dripping the club. No love, just trub in the club, in the streets, so I'm done. Plus, we taking vows, baby, I take them serious. These girls wanna take your place, must be delirious. We in this life forever, even through stormy weather. And we ride or die and treasure every moment together. And since I put a ring around the thing, it ain't a fling, it's just the way I feel about you and the love we share and bring to the table. And stability minimizes mystery. This family about to make history. I'm a new man. Building, keep on moving. With each new day, I keep proving the past and future are not equal. The story was stormy, but there's a sequel. And if you don't recognize the man you see before your eyes, it's cause I'm a new man inside. Yeah. And the old man's gone away. New days are ahead, old days are behind. New vision, new heights, and I'm no longer blind. Looking in my face, tell me what do you see? It don't always reflect what's in me. Been blessed and my face is still looking the same, but in my heart a whole lot has changed. My rear view mirror is small, a windshield big, and I don't forget it. Where I came from, but I focus on where I'm headed. Yeah, I can't forget the lesson when walking in my blessing. Peep in the rear view, but I keep a clear view of what's in front of me. And my past is washed away, I let regret go. I'm focused on today. God forgive me as these people remind me of the changes that I made and the past behind me. It was all for your purpose, it was all for your plan. I came into you broken, came out of you on building, keep on moving. With each new day, I keep proving the past and future are not equal. The story was stormy, but there's a sequel. And if you don't recognize the man you see before
on moving. With each new day, I keep proving the past and future are not equal. The story was stormy, but there's a sequel. And if you don't recognize the man you see before your eyes, it's 'cause I'm a new man.
Is there anything else you want to share with us? Any websites, places people can follow you at?
KidSensation.com and Kid Sensation Official on the social media, and Xola Music as well, XolaMusic.com and all on the social media.
And cola has a beautiful meaning, right?
Xola means to stay in peace. Yes, so that's the meaning of my actual government name. So yeah, Xola means to stay in peace. And so, you know, I've recorded songs under my real name, and a lot of those songs are like the Incredible song, and you know, songs that have a lot of messages and that kind of go a little bit more in depth into me as a person. And the kid side is a little bit of fun, right? I mean, so and one last thing I will say, Jamie, is that you have been like a absolute rock star since I've been getting to know you. You just like super, super cool, super easy to work with. You make me feel confident in the areas that I don't feel so confident in. Like you're all like techie and smart, and I'm just like this trying to figure this thing out. And you have made it. You have made it a cakewalk. You're amazing.
Thank you.
So I appreciate
Thank you, Xola. We appreciate it.
I appreciate all you guys are doing. And thank you guys for listening and hanging out with us and supporting. So yeah.
So before you go, who do you think we should invite on to the podcast next?
Who should be invited onto the podcast next? Man, let me think. That's a good
the
question.
Type of guest.
I think I have somebody. There is a young lady named Twina Nobles, and she's a state representative. Now, I know that that's not a musical person or whatever the case is.
That doesn't have to be musical.
But she is an amazing human being. I'm telling you. And you would, if you had her on and you just listen to her talk and do all that kind of stuff. First of all, she's just so community minded and such a wonderful human being. Just in general, she's a family person, all that kind of good stuff. She has a wonderful family. But then also, she'll just drop little nuggets of wisdom that I think that will just like add so much value to all your supporters and listeners and stuff like that. She'd be a dope addition, and I'd be happy to drop an email to her to come and hang out with y'all if you guys wanted to invite her.
Thank you so much, Xola. Well, this has been quite an experience. We really enjoyed getting to know you more. Thank you so much. Any last words? Any last shout outs?
Oh man, let me shout out to my family. Hey, I love y'all. God bless y'all, man. Everybody who's a supporter and listener of what Mackie is up to, they're phenomenal. Shout out to the whole team there. Shout out to all the people who support me and, you know, listen to my music and follow it on social media. So come and hang out with me. Let's keep doing what we do. And let's keep putting this good energy out here in this world. You guys, there's enough negativity, man. Let's use that energy that we've been using to kind of do all this stuff to do this stuff and unite, y'all. Let's stay together, man. We're all one people, right? Come on, let's do this.
That's right. Thank you, Xola. Again, I'm Jamie Hernandez, and this is The Ins and Outs with Mackie, a show about awesome gear and awesome people. We'll be bringing you musicians, engineers, podcasters, streamers, and sometimes the occasional Mackoid. If you're new to the show, make sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite platform to get all the latest Mackie updates as soon as they're out. Until next time, Mackoids.
It's the ins and outs, ins and outs.